Ladies and gentlemen, life is a battlefield, and the fiercest fight we face is not against others but within ourselves. Every day we are tested not by what happens around us, but by what happens inside of us. The voice in our head, the storm in our heart, that's where the real war is waged. And here's the truth. You can only win when your mind is stronger than your emotion. Let me break it down for you, because winning isn't about suppressing your emotions or denying how you feel. No, it's about mastering the mind to guide those emotions, not be ruled by them. You ever notice how sometimes your emotions feel like wild horses? You think you're riding them, but the truth is they're running the show. Fear, anger, doubt, they're fierce, they're strong. And if you don't hold the reins tight, they'll drag you down a path you never meant to walk. They'll stop you in your tracks. They'll make you believe that the fight is over before it even begins. But here's what you need to understand. Emotions, powerful as they are, don't have to control you. They don't have to dictate your story. Because deep inside you, there's a force that's stronger, smarter, sharper, your mind. And when that mind steps up and takes the lead, that's when victory is born. Picture an athlete stepping into an arena packed with thousands of eyes, the roar of the crowd like thunder shaking the very air. Their heart is pounding. Adrenaline floods every inch of their body. This is the moment where most people crumble, where panic screams loudest. But champions, they don't lose themselves in that noise. No, champions take a deep breath, and instead of letting fear push them back, they push forward. You ever hear about Olympic athletes? Those men and women have something most don't. It's not just talent or years of training, it's mental rehearsal. They visualize the race, the jump, the perfect move again and again before they ever set foot on the field. They're training their minds to stay calm, to focus, to channel every ounce of that nervous energy into precision. They're not just competing with their bodies, they're winning with their minds. See, the mind can see through the fog of panic. It can steady the shaking hands. It can quiet the screaming voice inside that says, "You're not good enough." That's what separates those who make history from those who make excuses. But let me be clear, this isn't about ignoring your emotions or pretending they don't exist. Emotions are a part of you. They're your fire, your fuel. But if you let that fire rage out of control, it burns everything around you, including your own path. You got to be the firefighter and the arsonist at the same time. You got to control that flame. There was a man once, a businessman who faced ruin when the market crashed. Every news headline screamed failure. The weight of debt pressed down like a mountain. Most would have fallen apart, given up, lost themselves in despair. But not him. He sat down in silence. He faced his fear. He let his mind ask the hard questions. What's the next move? How can I turn this around? And that man did something few people do. He let reason take the wheel, instead of letting panic crash the car. He crafted a plan. Slow, steady, relentless, and before long he was standing on his own 2 feet again, stronger than ever. That's the power of the mind over emotion. It's the space between feeling and action. When you feel overwhelmed, when your heart races and doubt creeps in, that's your chance. That's your moment to pause, to remind yourself that your mind is your greatest weapon. It's where you decide who you are and who you will become. You see, emotions, they're quick to react. They're like fire alarms going off at the slightest noise. But the mind is deliberate. It listens. It weighs the options. It makes the choice that emotion can't see in the heat of the moment. And this isn't just talk. Science backs it up. When you're overwhelmed by strong emotions, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the part that controls decision-making, actually slows down. It's biology. You get hijacked by emotion, and your ability to think clearly diminishes. So what do? You train yourself. You practice controlling your mind like you would train your body. Meditation, deep breathing, reflection, these aren't just buzzwords. They are the tools to calm the wild horses, to bring order to chaos. Think about Viktor Frankl, a man who faced the worst darkness humanity can offer. He lost everything: family, freedom, hope, but he found something else. He found that no matter what happens, there is a space between what happens to you and how you respond. In that space lies your power to choose. That's not just survival, that's winning. And it's within reach for every single one of us. This is the victory you can claim when your mind holds the reins. Your emotions become allies instead of enemies. They drive you forward, not push you off course. You feel the fire of passion, but you guide it with purpose. You don't just react to life, you respond. I want you to imagine yourself on the battlefield of your own life. The storms will come, the doubts will whisper, the fear will try to freeze your feet, but you can stand tall. You can say, no, not today, not on my watch, because your mind is stronger than your emotion. And when that mind leads, there's no force on earth that can stop you, no fear that can hold you back, no setback that can define you. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, and it starts right here, right now, with the choice to take control, to look at your fear in the eye and say, I decide what happens next. So, hold those reins tight. Train your mind every day. Make it sharp. Make it steady. Make it unstoppable. Because when your mind is stronger than your emotion, you don't just survive, you win. Life will throw punches at you without warning. It will shake the ground beneath your feet, knock the wind out of your lungs, and sometimes it will hit so hard that your first instinct is to fight back without thinking. That's reacting. Reacting is raw. It's unfiltered. It's that split-second decision made when your emotions hijack your brain and take control. It's when anger blinds you, fear freezes you, or frustration makes you lash out. Reacting is like a fire burning out of control, dangerous, unpredictable, destructive. But there's another way, a higher way. It's responding. Responding is different. Responding is deliberate. Responding is when you feel the storm rise inside you, but instead of letting it wash over you, you pause. You take a breath. You look the situation in the eye, weigh the facts, and choose your course. Responding is the art of not letting your heart scream louder than your mind can think. It's the difference between a soldier running blindly into battle and a general directing the fight with strategy and calm resolve. Let me tell you about a famous entrepreneur who once faced what felt like the end of everything. His business was crumbling. Debts piled up like mountains. Partners lost faith. The world saw a failure. And in that moment, the easy thing, the natural thing would have been to react with despair, to let anger consume him, to throw in the towel. But he didn't. No, he took a step back. He silenced the noise inside. Instead of reacting, he responded. He sat down, faced the facts without flinching. He analyzed the problem logically. What went wrong? Where could he cut losses? How could he rebuild? With clarity and patience, he crafted a plan. Step by step, brick by brick, he rebuilt his empire not because the storm passed, but because he chose to respond with intelligence, not react with emotion. That man didn't shut off his feelings, far from it. He just refused to let them run the show. That is emotional intelligence in action. That is the mind working smarter than the heart is screaming. You see, reacting is human. It's natural. When something threatens us, when pain or fear or frustration hits, our brain's alarm system kicks in. The amygdala, the emotional center, sounds the bell and tells us to act now. Fight, flight, freeze. That's the raw wiring of survival. But modern life, it's complex. The threats aren't always physical. Sometimes they come as harsh words, as failures, as setbacks, as moments of doubt. Reacting in these moments can lead to disaster. Think about it. How many relationships have been broken because one person reacted in anger before hearing the other out? How many business deals have crumbled because fear made someone quit too soon? How many dreams have been buried under a mountain of impulsive decisions fueled by frustration? Reacting is the quicksand that pulls us under. Responding, on the other hand, is power. It's control. It's maturity. It's the ability to break the cycle, catch yourself in that split second before you explode or retreat. It's the courage to say, I'm feeling this, but I won't be controlled by it. It's the wisdom to understand that every action you take from that moment on is a choice, and some choices will define the rest of your life. And that wisdom can be learned, it can be trained. Like any skill worth mastering, it takes practice. The greatest leaders, the fiercest warriors, the most successful people, they've all learned to respond instead of react. They faced moments that would crush ordinary people and made decisions that changed history. You want to hear something powerful? Responding requires patience with yourself. It requires you to sit in discomfort, to feel the burn of frustration without acting on it immediately. It means walking through the fire without getting burned. It means training your mind to be a warrior's mind, calm, sharp, focused. There's a story about a man who lost everything overnight. He was betrayed by people he trusted, faced financial ruin, and the world told him he was finished. The natural response would have been to lash out, to crumble under the weight. But instead, he chose to respond. He spent hours in thought, in quiet reflection, analyzing every detail. Then he made a plan. He rebuilt, not just his business, but himself. He became stronger, wiser, unshakable. That man's story isn't unique. It's a lesson for all of us. The next time you face a crisis, when your emotions scream loud and fast, remember this: you are not your emotions. You have the power to pause, to assess, to choose. That is where your true strength lies. You must learn to separate the heat of the moment from the decisions that define your destiny. Reacting is giving away your power. Responding is owning it. Reacting is the voice of fear. Responding is the voice of courage. Reacting is chaos. Responding is control. Now, I know this is hard. I know it's easier said than done. When you're hurt, when you're scared, when your whole world feels like it's burning, it's nearly impossible to stop and think. But the choice is yours. Every time you face that choice and take a breath instead of a blow, you build strength inside. You create space between what happens to you and how you act. And in that space is your freedom. Look at the people who inspire you, the people who've overcome massive odds. They all had moments when the world was collapsing around them, but they didn't let their emotions hijack their decisions. They learned to respond. They paused. They planned. They executed with the calm of a man who knows that emotions will come and go, but the mind that controls them stays steady. When you respond instead of react, you open doors. You find solutions where others see problems. You turn setbacks into comebacks. You become unstoppable because you're no longer a prisoner to your feelings, you are their master. And make no mistake, this is a skill worth mastering because life will test you. People will push your buttons. Circumstances will shake your foundation, and your emotions will scream for attention. But when your mind is trained to respond, you become a force no one can break. So, the next time you feel that rush, the anger, the fear, the frustration, don't let it control you. Don't let it hijack your future. Take a breath. Step back. Look with clear eyes. Assess the situation like a general surveying a battlefield. Then decide your move. Because there is a difference between being a slave to your emotions and being a master of them. And the victory is always on the side of the master. Remember, the mind can outthink the heart's screams. You can choose to respond, not react. You can choose to lead your life with clarity, courage, and control. And when you do, there's nothing that can stop you. When the storm of emotions hits, it doesn't knock politely. It storms in, loud and fierce anger burning like wildfire, fear freezing your feet in place, sadness pulling the weight of the world on your shoulders. And in that chaos, decisions that should be clear get clouded. They become blurred by the smoke of your feelings. And suddenly, good people make bad choices. You've seen it happen. Maybe it's happened to you. Maybe you've acted out of anger, seeking revenge on someone who hurt you, only to find yourself deeper in pain. Maybe fear held you back from taking a leap you knew you needed. Maybe sadness whispered lies that made you want to quit before the fight was even over. This isn't just a weakness of will, it's biology. Scientists have discovered that when emotions run high, the prefrontal cortex, the brain's control center responsible for rational thinking and sound judgment, starts to slow down. It's like your mind's CEO gets put on a coffee break while the emotional interns run wild. That's why in moments of overwhelm, your ability to think clearly, to weigh options, to act wisely takes a nosedive. Imagine you're behind the wheel of a car and suddenly the road is slick with rain. You can either slam on the brakes in panic, risking a crash, or you can ease off the gas, grip the wheel tight, and steer carefully. When emotions take over, it's like slamming the brakes. Your decisions become reactive and dangerous. You lose control, and the consequences can ripple far beyond that moment. Think about stories you've heard: leaders who made choices out of anger that tore their teams apart, friends who let fear silence them from speaking their truth, parents whose sadness led them to withdraw when their families needed them most. These aren't just stories of failure, they're warnings. Warnings that remind us, when emotions drive, the road ahead is slippery. But here's the truth. The moment you recognize the danger is the moment you take the first step toward victory. You learn to see those emotional storms not as enemies, but as signals. They're your mind's way of telling you, slow down, pay attention, don't let this fire burn you. It takes practice, it takes discipline, it takes courage to pause in the heat of anger, to breathe through the grip of fear, to stand firm against the weight of sadness. That pause, that moment where you let the mind take charge, that's where your power lies. Because when you train yourself to lead with your mind, you make decisions that honor both your feelings and your future. You don't suppress emotions, you guide them. You acknowledge their presence, but refuse to let them hijack your destiny. There was a man, a public figure known for his fiery temper. Many thought his anger would be his downfall. But in a moment that defined him, faced with a crisis that could have destroyed everything, he chose to step back. He felt the heat rising, the urge to lash out, but instead, he controlled it. He let reason take over. He made decisions with clarity and purpose. And that choice saved not just his reputation, but the people who depended on him. Your emotions will always try to drive, but you are the driver. You hold the keys. The road will get rough, but you have the strength to steer through. You can train your mind to be steady, to be clear, to be the captain of your fate. So when the next wave hits, don't surrender. Don't let the storm blind you. Recognize it. Own it. Let your mind lead, because that is how you win. That is how you rise. That is how you become unstoppable. How do you rise above the storm inside? How do you stand tall when emotions threaten to drag you down? It doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice and by discipline. Mental strength isn't some magic power you're born with. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger when you train it. Every day. No excuses, no shortcuts. Imagine training for a marathon. You don't wake up one day and run 26 miles. You start with one step, 1 mile, one run. It's steady, it's patient, and sometimes it's painful. You build endurance, stamina, and strength. That's how you get from where you are to where you want to be. And it's the same with your mind. You build control over your emotions by starting small, by using tools that quiet the noise, that give your mind a chance to breathe. Meditation, sitting quietly, and just being present teaches you to watch your thoughts without getting swept away. Journaling, putting your feelings on paper, helps you understand what's inside and makes it less overwhelming. Mindful breathing, simple, conscious breaths, grounds you when the world feels like it's spinning out of control. These are not just nice-to-haves. They are your frontline defense against the chaos of unchecked emotion. Look at Viktor Frankl. Here was a man who faced a nightmare no one should ever endure. A Holocaust survivor who watched the world collapse around him, who saw friends and family ripped away by cruelty, who endured suffering that would break most people beyond repair. But Viktor Frankl didn't let the darkness consume him. He found something even in the depths of despair. Meaning, control, power. And it all began in his mind. He said it best. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Think about that. Between what happens to you and how you react, there's a momentous space. And in that space lies your freedom, your strength, your ability to decide who you want to be. That's mental strength in its purest form. Now, it's not easy. No one said it would be. Building mental strength means confronting yourself every day. It means choosing to face your fears, your doubts, your anger, and refusing to let them dictate your life. It means discipline. It means showing up for yourself even when it feels hard, even when you don't want to. You can start right now. Take a moment. Breathe in deep. Let the air fill your lungs. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Remind yourself you are here, right now, in control of this moment. That's the first step. And it's these small moments, repeated over time, that build the fortress inside you. The place where emotions don't rule, but where the mind leads with calm and clarity. Think about the great leaders, the champions, the people who face storms and come out stronger. What do they have in common? They've trained their minds. They've built mental muscle by practicing control. They don't deny their emotions, they acknowledge them. But they don't let emotions drive their decisions. Instead, they pause, reflect, and choose their response. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about making the choice every day to get a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more in control. And when you build this discipline, something incredible happens. You start to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities. You learn to stand firm in the face of fear. You turn pain into power. You find peace in the chaos. Viktor Frankl's story isn't just history, it's a blueprint for all of us. No matter what storms rage in your life, you have the power to choose your response. That power grows when you build mental strength, when you train your mind like an athlete trains their body. So take that first step, start small, meditate, journal, breathe. Build that mental muscle every day. Because when you do, you don't just survive life's battles, you win them. You become unstoppable. Remember, the strongest minds don't ignore emotions, they master them. And mastery begins with discipline. You have that discipline inside you. You just have to claim it. I want you to hear me not just with your ears, but with your soul. Because this isn't just about words, this is about your life. This is about how you rise, how you lead, how you fight without losing yourself. And I need you to understand something that too many people get wrong. Victory, real, lasting, meaningful victory, doesn't come from shutting down what you feel. It doesn't come from being cold or numb or pretending like you're made of stone. No, that's not strength. That's survival. And there's a difference. Your emotions, they're not your enemy. They're not some wild thing you have to chain up or lock away in a box. They're your signal, your compass, your fire. Joy, love, anger, passion, pain. They are the energy behind your actions. They are what make you human. And in a world that tries every day to push you into being less, to be quiet, to fit in, to act like what you feel doesn't matter, I'm here to tell you, your emotions matter more than ever. But listen now, because this is the key. That fire inside you, it has to be harnessed. It has to be trained. Emotions are powerful allies, but they're not meant to drive the car. They're not meant to take the wheel. That job belongs to your mind, your clarity, your wisdom. Because when passion runs wild without purpose, it burns everything in its path. But when you take that same fire and you guide it, when you channel it with discipline, with focus, it becomes unstoppable. That's how greatness is born. You see, the greatest leaders, not the loudest, not the most feared, not the ones who screamed the most, the greatest, they understood this. They felt deeply. They didn't shut down their hearts to lead. They led with heart, but they didn't let emotion cloud their vision. They knew when to pause, when to reflect, when to rise above the noise. They had a fire inside, but a stillness in their mind. And that's the balance I'm talking about. That's the line you have to walk every single day. Let me tell you something. It's easy to explode. It's easy to lash out. It's easy to let anger take the wheel when life hits you hard, when you're disrespected, when you're overlooked, when you're fighting battles no one else sees. But real power is in restraint. Real power is in choosing not to destroy even when you have every reason to. Real power is in using what you feel to build something better, not tear it all down. There's nothing weak about emotion, nothing soft about feeling. Don't let this world twist you into thinking that being numb is brave. Don't let it tell you that men don't cry, or leaders don't falter, or warriors don't feel pain. That's a lie, and it's a dangerous one. Because it teaches people to bottle up what makes them human until it bursts, until they break. And when that happens, nobody wins. What we need is not less feeling, but more understanding, more mastery. Because when you understand your emotions, when you know how to sit with them, listen to them, but not be ruled by them, then you become dangerous in the best way. Then you walk into every room not to prove your worth, but to live your worth. You lead from within. You speak with fire, but you act with clarity. Think about the people who inspired you, not just impressed you, but changed you. The ones who stood up when everyone else sat down. The ones who stayed calm in chaos, who loved in the face of hate, who stood tall even when the weight of the world pressed down on their shoulders. You think they weren't afraid? You think they didn't cry behind closed doors? They felt everything, but they chose to rise anyway. That's courage. That's balance. So when you feel that fire rise in you, when the world tests you, when you want to scream or quit or throw something against the wall, stop. Breathe. Let the emotion speak. Let it fuel you. But don't let it control you. You are not the storm. You are the one who walks through it with purpose. You are not chaos. You are the one who brings order. This is not just about personal growth. This is about leadership, legacy, and love. Because when you learn to lead yourself, when you find that place where emotion and wisdom work together, then you can lead others. Then you can change the atmosphere in a room just by walking into it. Not because you're loud, not because you demand respect, but because you command it with your presence, your poise, your balance. This world doesn't need more cold hearts. It needs more courageous ones. Hearts that burn for justice, hearts that ache with empathy, hearts that are willing to feel deeply, but never let that feeling lead them astray. The mind must be the captain, but the heart must never be silent. When both work together, when the fire and the wind align, then you soar. So don't kill your emotions, don't numb them. Don't be ashamed of what you feel. Instead, learn the art of directing that fire. Learn how to be both the flame and the hand that holds it steady. That's the battle. That's the test. And that's where the victory lies, not in suppression, but in balance. Not in silencing the heart, but in teaching it to sing a wiser song. And I promise you, when you master that, there's no mountain you can't climb, no room you won't own, no dream too big, no fight too hard. Because then you're not just surviving, you're leading, you're building, you're living, and that right there is where the real power begins. I want you to listen close, not just to the sound of these words, but to the weight they carry. Because this isn't surface level talk. This isn't about being impressive. It's about being real, about stepping into the truth of who you are and what it takes to win, not just in the eyes of the world, but in your own reflection, in that quiet moment when no one else is watching. That's where the real fight happens. That's the battlefield that decides who rises and who falls. And that battlefield is the mind. You see, everyone wants the victory. Everybody wants the reward. They want the glory, the recognition, the dream. But most people don't want to deal with the war that comes before it. And make no mistake, it is a war. It's a war between what you feel and what you know. Between your fears and your focus. Between your emotions, which scream for attention, and your mind, which quietly waits to lead you through the storm. And if you don't know who's in charge in that war, you'll find yourself lost every time. Emotions are loud. They rise up quick. They'll have you making moves based on heat, not wisdom. They'll have you snapping when you should be thinking, quitting when you should be enduring, shutting down when you need to step up. That's not weakness, that's being human. But the difference between those who survive and those who succeed, it's the ability to hear all that noise and still choose clarity, still choose purpose. You can't silence emotion. You shouldn't even try. Emotions are part of the gift. They give you fire. They remind you that you care. They let you love deeply, fight passionately, stand boldly. But that same fire, if left unchecked, will burn through everything good in your life. That's why your mind has to be the gatekeeper, not the enemy of your heart, the leader of it. Not a prison guard shutting your feelings away, but a wise guide directing them towards something greater than the moment. That's where strength lives. In that place where the fire of emotion meets the discipline of thought. When you can feel everything and still choose the right thing. When you're standing in the storm of anger or heartbreak or fear, and you still say, "No, I will not let this control me. I will not lose my way." That is power. Not the kind that flexes or boasts, the kind that endures, the kind that builds. We've been sold a lie that the strongest people don't feel, that real leaders are stone cold, unaffected. That's not strength. That's survival. And survival is not enough. You weren't made just to survive this life. You were made to lead in it, to rise in it, to own every room you step into. Not because you're louder than everybody else, but because you're centered. Because when others lose their heads, you keep yours. When others are pushed and pulled by every wave of emotion, you're the anchor. Not because you don't feel, but because you've learned how to feel without falling. That kind of balance doesn't come easy. It takes work. Every day, every moment, every breath. It means checking in with yourself when the world is spinning fast. It means asking, what am I feeling? Why? And what's the wise thing to do in spite of that? It means pausing before reacting. It means listening before speaking. It means choosing instead of just responding. And don't get it twisted, this isn't about ignoring pain. This isn't about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about facing the pain and refusing to let it define you. It's about standing up in the face of fear and saying, you don't own me. It's about letting your emotions inform you, but never control you. That's the battle. Every dream, every relationship, every calling, it's all shaped by how well you fight that battle. And it's not a one-time win. It's a daily decision, a daily discipline. Now let me be real with you, you will fail sometimes. You'll let the heat of a moment carry you into saying something you regret. You'll let fear hold you back when opportunity calls. You'll break down. You'll lose control. And when that happens, I want you to remember this. Losing one round doesn't mean you've lost the war. Pick yourself back up. Learn. Adjust. Keep fighting. Because every time you rise again, you're training that mind to lead more clearly. Every time you choose purpose over pressure, you get stronger. And that strength, it begins to show in your decisions, in your energy, in the way people feel when they're around you. They'll feel that steadiness, that quiet confidence, that presence that says, this person has been through fire, and they didn't burn out, they burned brighter. That's the kind of leader the world needs. That's the kind of person who changes not just their own life, but the lives of everyone around them. Because when your mind is stronger than your emotion, you become a force. You become unmoved by fear, by anger, by doubt. You become the kind of person who doesn't run from challenge, but walks into it with calm and fire at the same time. You lead your life. You take ownership of it. You stop waiting for the world to hand you something and start building something greater than what you were given. And the truth is, every great dream, every mountain you'll ever climb starts with that choice. The choice to let your mind steer, even when your emotions are screaming. The choice to feel the weight, but not let it crush you. The choice to move forward, even when every part of you wants to turn back. So understand this. It's not about never feeling fear. It's not about never feeling doubt. It's about standing firm in the presence of those feelings and still walking forward. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you unbreakable. Because in the end, victory doesn't belong to those who never feel, it belongs to those who feel deeply, but choose wisely. Every win starts in the mind. Every dream is protected or destroyed by the thoughts you allow to take root. So guard that space. Train it like you would a muscle. Don't let every emotion run free in there. That crane 6. Let your mind be the captain. Let your vision be the map. Let your heart be the fire, but never the driver. Because when you guide your emotions, instead of being guided by them, you win. Every time.